The forest is one of Sweden's most important natural resources, but we can't seem to agree how to manage it.
It's quite easy to have respect for the ecosystems and to adapt our way of living to that. But then, when you go into the details, it becomes complicated, right?
Throughout a series of interviews, we found that the tensions between forestry and forest conservation were consistently attributed to lots of different factors. Media, politics, legislation, and overconsumption all play a role. And in between all of this, local communities and small forest owners have to find their own way. So, how has forestry changed with time, and where do we stand now?
In the 50s, we used to do clear cuts all over. It was intense, with heavy machinery and not much consideration for nature at all. This was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But then forestry realized that it's not sustainable anymore. So when more knowledge and experience were gained, following the Swedish Forestry Act of 1993, there were a lot of technology improvements for the machines, and so much has happened since then. So it's much better now than before. I think a lot of the debate comes from the fact that some people think you can only manage your forest in one certain way, and that is not the case.
The main problem I see as an economist is that there is only one business model in forestry. That's timber production, to provide cheap timber to the forest industry. Instead, we should have more business models for all kinds of ecosystem services, like climate regulation, for example. And I think that the state has to initiate this to create a market, because otherwise this won't happen.
And then there's misconceptions of what different groups want.
Environmental NGOs do not want to protect all the forests. They want to change the way where it's managed, and they want to protect the high conservation value areas that need to be protected. We need to find some kind of common ground on how much should be protected and how we should manage our forests. Right now, we are in a conflict situation because we basically have an industry whose timber yields are at overcapacity. So the industry is fighting to extract more and intensify forest management, and WWF and others are fighting back.
But the governmental systems that protect high biodiversity forests lack funding.
We don't have the money to do all this surveillance because we have 60,000 applications each year, and we can only review a few percent of that. So last year, 27,000 hectares of high biodiversity forest were felled.
Many of our interview partners are talking about the decisions small forest owners have to make.
If we would assume that all car drivers would take their responsibility, we wouldn't need to have traffic rules, right? But within forest policy, it's very strange, because it's assuming that all these 310,000 forest owners will be doing everything right, because we have a minimum legislation on forests.
On the other hand,
there is a great freedom for forest owners when it comes to what and how you can grow and manage forest. And that, I believe, is part of the explanation of why many people like the forest. It creates more diversity.
Because local forest owners log much smaller areas, they have a closer connection to the land they own.
Most people, when they actually want to conduct forestry, they learn to think not only of themselves. If I plant a tree today, I will certainly not be the one to cut it down.
The forest we see now is not the forest we will see in 50 years. Those trees were planted 60 years ago, within a different context. I think in the near future, which we already saw back in 2018 during the drought, it's going to be about having more resilient forests. Forests that can withstand drought, pests, and climate change.
we also asked how much humans should intervene in the forest.
I don't think I agree with the sort of letting it be is the perfect state. I mean, we humans are always dependent on what the land produces, and people have used the forest landscape since they started moving to Scandinavia. So I mean, letting it be is not an option. It's more depending on how you manage it and what you use the products for, but I think we will always use the landscape. My perspective is that we should definitely manage and use our ecosystems, but we need to understand that we should do it in a humble way.
So, where could the tension be coming from?
In media, the debate is polarized, but I think there is also a big group in society that is maybe not heard in this, because media is so driven by conflict. This is how you get attention.
I think the best thing is to meet in person and look at the same spot in the forest and say, okay, what can we do? We look at the same thing at the same time and then discuss it. Because I think everybody wants it to be good. The question is how to do it. If we can find something like a meeting area and try to meet different stakeholders and discuss the topic from different perspectives. We look at the forest based on our own perceptions or knowledge, and based on that we try to find out how our goals can be reached.
I think no matter what you want from the forest, you still want the trees to grow. You want it to be healthy, and you don't want the trees to die.
All our interview partners agreed.
The difficulty is to find that balance. Where is the balance between timber production and biodiversity and climate?
What does the forest of the future look like?
I can smell the forest. It's a special kind of smell.
There's spruce and birch and some other broadleaf trees as well.
I'm sitting perhaps on a rock or a stump, and there's moss.
It's almost always sunny, and it's peaceful. The birds are there.
I notice the light. The forest has a unique environment in how it reflects.
You can hear the wind, but you don't feel it as much.
I can find blueberries or lingonberries or raspberries. That's nice. At this time of year, I hope to find some mushrooms. They don't need to be edible, I just like the sight of them.
And sometimes, when I'm really quiet and lucky, I can see some other animals.